Astral Observatory from Majora's Mask is undoubtedly one of my favorite video game songs of all time. Coming in at only a 33-second loop, the song fills every moment of its composition with detail and atmosphere. Today we'll look at how Astral Observatory achieves its atmosphere through using carefully selected instruments. The context of the song is quite unusual. The song is only played in one location in Majora's Mask, but the moments when players first stumble upon the observatory after trekking through Clocktown sewers, they are introduced to bright rainbow colors along with an old man. Koji Kondo most likely had in mind carnival music, similar to Majora's Mask's minigame music, but this song is far deeper and more introspective. Let's take a look at just how Koji composed this tune. In our previous music design episodes, we learned that Koji likes to use the minimal amount of instruments required, yet somehow, he manages to achieve a full-sounding song. Koji carefully applies this fundamental rule. Each instrument should have a clear, definable function. What this means is that every instrument should have a role to play in the song, whether it's the Glockenspiel to provide tinkly highs, or the strings or choir to carry the dark atmosphere of Majora's Mask. Koji ensures that no instrument is left without a use. That is how we can break Astral Observatory down into only 4 main functions. The Harpsichord provides the driving rhythm, the Glockenspiel and Fantasia support the chord progressions, the piano is the lead instruments, and the choir and Synth Pad provide the background atmosphere. There we have it. Rhythm, chord progression, lead instruments, and atmosphere. That is all Koji will need to construct this tune. To fit with the carnival theme, Harpsichord is one of the first choices Koji likely reached for when beginning this song. This opening ascending scale is very reminiscent of many carnival themes in the past. It then opens up to this Alberti bass pattern that outlines the chord progressions. Now what's interesting here is that Koji opts to remove the first notes of every measure besides the first one. What this does is create an unpredictability that pulls the listener in more when they're not treated to a static rhythm. Let's jump ahead to the second section and play this. Now Koji is very particular about which note he chooses for the harpsichord to play. Notice how when I bring in the piano, the harpsichord beautifully increases tension at the right time and complements the piano very well. We have a very lovely and fantasy-inspired combination of Glockenspiel and Fantasia. The Glockenspiel is used in its correct function, that is to highlight a certain few notes of this chord progression. While the Glockenspiel has a much shorter decay time, meaning that it fades out a lot quicker, the Fantasia rings out much longer. The Glockenspiel by itself sounds childish and simple, while the Fantasia, on the other hand, has a much more complex sound. Both of them give off such a happy and exciting sound. Not only that, but when we combine Fantasia and piano, they intertwine extremely well together. It's clear that the piano was composed first, and then the Fantasia added as a backing instrument. The piano is such a fantastic addition to the song. It provides the punch and the melancholy the song needs. I can tell that Koji records himself playing most of the instruments he composes for it, and this is one of his most beautiful piano pieces. What brings out the melancholy and sadness of this tune is our good friend, the major 7th chord. This first section alternates back and forth between F major and A sharp major 7th. Hopping over to the second section, Koji brings in some dissonance with these 2 moving bass root chords. We still use the A sharp major 7th chord, but now the bass moves surprisingly out of the key with D sharp, and then eventually with E on the bottom. This tension is resolved with one of Kondo's favorite chords, the dominant. Dominant chords are found all throughout the Majora's Mask soundtrack, and they're a powerful move for a chord to go to. In the final section, we resolve again to a relatively majorish G over B, and then to another dominant G7. The final two chords are perhaps the most striking, this massive C11 sus4, followed by resolving the sus to a C7. One note about the piano is how compressed it is. The compression gives it the bite it needs to punch through the mix in front of the other instruments. It also makes the softer notes more easily heard by the listener. Both the choir and the synth pad are tucked away in the background, but they are both immensely atmospheric to the entire piece. Both choir and synth pad double each other on the same notes by holding usually on long pedal tones, which are notes that are held in sustain. What's cool is that the choir comes in on the right ear channel, while the pad comes in on the left, so they balance each other out. What is most crucial to making sustained notes like these work is having at least something in them change over time. In the case of Astral Observatory, the volume of both the choir and the pad constantly fluctuate to let each instrument breathe. The synth pad itself was designed with a constantly modulating filter. As an example, here's one note without any adjustments needed. One detail work I did include was the volume automation for the synth pad. This doubles the effect of feeling like the instrument is living and breathing. Take a listen to this final section with the automation. This is an incredible piece of music, in what would otherwise be an insignificant moment in the game with only just one location. Koji Kondo created one of the best pieces for the game that highlights the dark and melancholic feeling of Majora's Mask. Looking through a telescope at the incoming moon is one of the most memorable moments in the game as a result. Write a comment down below on your thoughts about this song. Has it grown on you since you first played Majora's Mask? I want to give a big thank you to all those who have supported me and this channel through Patreon. Your support will help keep this channel running and thriving for the long future. Farewell to you all, and I'll see you in the next episode of Music Design.